So hello everybody, a very good afternoon. I'm Dr. Dvipika Garg, MDS in Orthodontics and Dentofacial Orthopedics. And the topic which would be for today is growth and development. We know like growth and development is one of the major topics in orthodontics. It is frequently asked and a topic which is not easy to understand if you don't know the basics. Okay, so today we'll be covering the topic of growth and development. So to start with, we all know what is growth and what is development. Okay, it is basically a process where there is change in size, there is change in shape, and there's a progress towards maturity. Okay, so before we start with all this, the basic things is fertilization and cleavage, the concept of fertilization and cleavage. Okay, so that is how it goes when the male and the female organs, that is like your sperm and the ova, they fertilize together, they fuse together. Then there's formation of the formation occurs, and then there is a 2-cell cavity which gets converted into a 16-cell cavity which is known as morula. Okay, so this is the figure of morula, which is a 16-cell cavity. Then fluid fills into morula. So there is in-way or the seepage of fluid into the morula, which leads to formation of this particular structure. Now this particular structure consists of embryoblast and trophoblast. The outer layer is the trophoblast, and you can see how well the cells are aligned in trophoblast, right? And the cluster of cells here is known as embryoblast, right? So, and this entire unit is known as a blastocyst. So when a fluid seeps into morula, it leads to the formation of blastocyst. Now, there are cells which are present within the embryo, okay? And these are known as ectodermal cells and endodermal cells. So in this structure, you can see formation of bilaminar germ disc. Bilaminar, meaning two laminas, meaning there are two discs or two structures which are present. That is ectoderm cells and endoderm cells. Okay, ectodermal cells are columnar in shape, whereas endoderm cells, they are flattened. Okay, now the area between the ectoderm, okay, and the embryoblast is known as amniotic cavity, as it is mentioned here. So this area which you can see above the ectoderm is amniotic cavity. The area which is present below the endoderm is your secondary yolk sac. So this is the basic of anything. Like before we start with growth and development, the one basic thing which you should be knowing is this concept of fertilization and cleavage. How trophoblast is formed, how embryoblast is formed, what is amniotic cavity, right? So these are the two layers of cell, that is ectoderm and endoderm. Moving on, once endoderm and ectoderm is formed, there is formation of procaudal plate. So you can see in the figure that this is the procaudal plate. Procaudal plate is of primary importance because it helps to distinguish between the right side and the left side, between the cranial side and between the caudal side. Okay, so this is one thing which helps us in differentiating the two parts. Okay, so this is the procaudal plate. Then what happened, this ectodermal cells, they will proliferate from here. They proliferate, and they go in a straight line upwards. And this is known as primitive streak. When this primitive streak develops further, it leads to the formation of a primitive node. As you all can see in the figure, this is the primitive streak and this is the formation of a primitive node. Okay, so this is the primitive node. This is the developing notocaudal process. This is the cranial side, meaning the head portion, and this is the caudal side, meaning the tail portion. Okay, the next thing which is very important is formation of neural crest cells. Because when the neural crest cells are formed, neural tube will be formed. Neural tube is the structure which consists of spinal cord and the brain. Okay, so there is a neuroectoderm which is present here. These in between the neuroectoderm, there is a neural groove which is present. And eventually what happens, the neuroectoderm, these two figures start coming towards each other. So once they've come towards each other, they will eventually fuse. And once they fuse, they lead to the formation of this neural tube. So this structure here is the neural tube which harbors your spinal cord and the brain. And these are the neural crest cells. Okay, these neural crest cells play a very important role in the development on face and teeth. Our entire maxillofacial region, or okay, orofacial region, is formed because of neural crest cells, right? So with this basics understanding, with the concept of this particular basic, what we do is we understand the growth of maxilla and mandible. This is not something which is very easy to understand. It is a complicated process, because it is not just the growth of maxilla and mandible, it is the prenatal and the postnatal growth of maxilla and mandible. Okay, what happens in the intrauterine life, what is the growth which is occurring there, and the growth once the child is out. Okay, so that is how this is prenatal and postnatal growth. So we have prenatal, postnatal growth of maxilla, mandible, your entire orofacial region basically. So to make things easier and simpler for you people, how we will be going about is by drawing lots of flowcharts. Okay, so there will be flow charts, diagrams, so that there is, it becomes very simple to make things easier for you, so that it is easier for you to write in the exam, to understand in the exam. Okay, it is good for you to present as well. Examiner is happy in case you're a final year student. In case you're preparing for your NEET PG exams, it becomes very clear how to go about, right? So growth of maxilla. Basically, the growth which is occurring because of three particular things. One is the connective tissue proliferation at the sutures. The sutures which are present in the maxillary region, connective tissue proliferation occurs, because of which they grow. The next thing is translation. Okay, active and passive translation. Then comes remodeling. Remodeling is nothing but purely a phenomenon of bone deposition and resorption, which leads to change in size, shape, and structure. Okay, so this is how the growth of maxilla goes about. To make things further simple, we'll draw this diagram where this postnatal growth of maxilla has been defined. So as we mentioned, growth at sutures occur. So the sutures which are involved in the growth of maxilla are zygomatico-maxillary suture, zygomatico-frontal, frontomaxillary, and intermaxillary. So these are the four major set of sutures which are involved in the growth of maxilla. So what happens? There is connective tissue proliferation occurs, and the bone fill in at the space which is formed, the bone gets filled. As a result of that, the maxilla grows. Then the next procedure by which the maxilla is growing is by the procedure of translation. Okay, translation occurs by active growth at tuberosity region and by the passive growth. Now, active growth at tuberosity, when it occurs, so there's forward and downward movement of maxilla. So if this is the maxilla, and if we are going and growing at tuberosity region, it will move forward and downward. So that is how the maxilla is moving. It is gliding forward and downwards. Okay. How does it happen passively? By passively, because of the capsular matrix, that is orbital, nasal, and oral capsules, and by the nasal septum. Nasal septum is also one thing which plays a very important role in the postnatal growth of maxilla. So this is how you can link your functional matrix theory with the growth of maxilla or mandible. The next procedure which occurs is remodeling. Remodeling of bone occurs whenever there is a structure and remodeling is occurring. So there is deposition of bone on one particular side and resorption on bone of the other side, which is deposited by positive and negative sign respectively. So because of this continuous bone deposition and resorption, there is increase in size, there is a change in shape, and there is change in structure. So that is how the maxilla grows. Okay, so if we are to summarize that at which particular site these three procedures are occurring, so we have the summary of postnatal growth of maxilla, which is site wise. Okay, so that was the basic concept which is occurring at each and every site, that growth at sutures, remodeling, translation. But which are the sites where this is occurring and how it is going on, that has been explained. Okay, so the first is at the orbital floor. So in the orbital region, deposition of bone will occur laterally, superiorly, and anteriorly, right? Because the maxilla has to go in a forward direction. The next major site is your nasal floor. So what happens at the nasal floor region? Resorption of bone will occur, so that there is enlargement of the nasal cavity. Because if the nasal cavity is not enlarged, how will the maxilla grow? So for that to occur, there has to be resorption of bone which has to go on, right? Next is body of maxilla. What happens is there is growth in the tuberosity region. So once the tuberosity region grows, there is forward movement of maxilla, and simultaneously there is resorption in the anterior border. Your next major site of growth is palatal region. Now in the palatal region, there is mid-palatal growth. So if this is your palate, this mid-palatal region will grow. It will lead to expansion of maxilla. Okay, so there is downward growth by deposition in the palatal roof, which is your V principle. Okay, the V principle stands for this only, where the maxilla grows because of expansion in the mid-palatal region, right? The next site where the growth occurs is your alveolus. Alveolus, simple, when the teeth will erupt, there will be growth in the alveolar region, right? Next is zygomatic region. So bone deposits posteriorly and in the lateral surface, and resorption occurs in the anterior and medial surface. So if this is your zygomatic bone, you will visualize where the deposition is occurring and where the resorption is occurring. So in a way, so that the maxilla can grow forward and downwards. Okay. Next, so now if what we saw how prenatal and postnatal growth of maxilla occurs, right? Like what are the procedures involved? There's remodeling, translation, and at the suture region. If we go in depth, then where are the sites involved? Where is deposition and resorption occurring? And that is how my maxilla is expanding. That is how it is growing. Now coming to mandible, the growth of mandible is a little different from that of maxilla. And one thing which is very important is this figure of brachial arches, which we all have read in anatomy and in all other things. Okay, that there are 6 brachial arches. They all have their own set of derivatives. Okay, the 5th one is latent and it will eventually disappear. So you have your 6th arch then. Okay, so you should know that how each arch is there. Okay, what are its derivatives, the structures which are present within the arch. Okay, and one thing which is of primary importance is your Meckel's cartilage, which is the derivative of your first arch. Okay, so this is the structure of the Meckel's cartilage. In and out, everything about the Meckel's cartilage should be clear, because it is one major thing which helps in the growth of mandible. Okay, so in the figure you can see that this V structure, this nerve which eventually divides, is your inferior alveolar nerve. Okay, it will eventually divide into both its structure. So Meckel's cartilage is there, and how it will leave behind everything, and just 5 structures would be left, like your incus, malleus, and stapes. Okay, so importance of Meckel's cartilage is very high in the growth of mandible. So like we did sites where the growth occurs in maxilla, similarly we have sites where the growth occurs in mandible. Okay, like in functional matrix theory, we have the major components and the minor components. There's a skeletal unit, there's a macroskeletal unit and a microskeletal unit. So if we consider mandible as a macroskeletal unit, okay, then there are microskeletal units which are present there. So your condyle, your coronoid, your ramus, angle, body, all these becomes your microskeletal units. And this is exactly where the mandible is growing. It is not growing, it is growing whole as a structure, but there are minor and smaller parts which are present in mandible, okay, which are helping it grow. Okay, it is growing itself as a unit because of these microskeletal structures which are present. So that is what is shown in the figure. Okay, your separate growth is occurring in your condylar region, coronoid region, your ramus, angle, body, alveolar process, and as well as the chin. See, this is how it all grows. How does it grow? By the process of remodeling. See, the bone is getting deposited here and it is getting resorbed here. So the structure, the brown color which you can see, this structure eventually grows and becomes this green structure because of constant deposition of bone posteriorly and resorption of bone in the anterior region. So maintaining the shape and the integrity of mandible, there is change in size because of the remodeling process which is occurring. Okay. So postnatal growth basically involves your cortical drift and remodeling, elongation at synchondrosis and sutural growth. Okay, so cortical drift, we all know. Remodeling, we just did. What is there? Deposition and resorption. Then elongation at synchondrosis. This is very important. We have these 4 set of synchondroses which have to be remembered by our spheno-occipital synchondrosis, spheno-ethmoid synchondrosis, intersphenoid and intraoccipital synchondrosis. So the growth which occurs at these synchondroses helps in changing the shape and size of the mandible. Okay. Then growth at sutures, like we had growth at sutures for the growth of maxilla. Similarly, we have sutures which helps in growth of mandible, as well as your orbital, your entire craniofacial and orofacial region. Your cranium is growing because of spheno-frontal, frontotemporal, spheno-ethmoidal, frontoethmoidal, and frontozygomatic sutures. So growth occurs at these particular sutural points. As a result, your mandible is growing. As a result, your cranium is growing. Okay, so these are very important things which you should be knowing. Growth of maxilla and mandible, they are not completely related, but the concept is very much similar. The things which have to be very clear in your mind is about cortical drift, remodeling, and translations. Okay, and it has to be related with your theories of growth. We have all these theories of growth which are somewhere interrelated. Like Seacher gave the sutural theory, and that is what we are using here. Because of the growth at sutures, our maxilla and mandible is growing. Okay, then came the cartilaginous theory. Yes, there is growth at cartilage region. As a result, all this is occurring. Then all the functional matrix theory somewhere or the other related to this. Okay, so all these concepts have to be combined together. Okay, then only we can understand how the growth occurs at maxilla as well as mandible. So it is not just growth, it is prenatal and postnatal growth of both maxilla and mandible, which have to be read. So with this, our first lecture is over on growth and development. I hope the things were clear to you all. So yes, thank you so much.